This is a complete guide to beating the Ashes of the Damned Easter egg and Black Ops 7 zombies. This can be completed both solo or co-op, and this guide will be as comprehensive as possible so you can beat this Easter egg on your first attempt. Let's jump straight into things with my recommended loadout, but if you find this guide useful, let me know down below in the comments and drop the video a like. There are a wide range of weapons that you can use for the Easter egg in both the early and late game, but I personally ran the Nikita shotgun with these attachments as it was absolutely incredible. Field upgrades, I highly recommend Ether Shroud or Frenzied Guard. Gobblegums aren't required, but anything useful like Perkaholic, Raindrops, Power Keg, Near-Death Experience, and Aftertaste will be incredibly useful in the boss. Jumping straight in, the first thing you want to do is to open up the map and get Pack-a-Punch activated. This will include getting Ted's head, installing it on Old Tessie, and going to either Blackwater or Landorn Farm and clear the infestation off the power pump and activate the power. Now, throughout opening the map, in various areas, there are going to be parts of the Easter egg that you can get early on, with the first one being in Vandorn Farm, and to do this, you need to have a Tomahawk equipped, and within the barn, you want to aim for this body that's hanging off the ceiling, and you'll see that its foot will be dripping blood. Aim your Tomahawk at its foot, and it should sever the foot, dropping it on the ground. From here, you'll then need to get a Molotov and throw it at the foot, and if done correctly, you should be able to pick up a part called Human Bones. We'll be picking up more of these parts very shortly, but for now, make sure you have Blackwater Lake powered up by clearing the infestation and turning on the power there as well. Make your way into Ashwood and take the zipline either to the left or the right side and open up till you make your way to the Ashwood Bridge and destroy the spore infestation and turn on the power there, as well as install the Pack-a-Punch on the back of Old Tessie. And from here, we're going to make our way over to Exit 115. There are two Easter egg steps we can do straight away here, and the first is once you are on a Ravager round, you want to go ahead and activate the Saw Trap either here or in any other location on the map and let a Ravager be killed by the trap, and if done correctly, the Ravager will drop a part called Ravager Eyes. Staying in Exit 115, eventually you will find a special zombie called the Cook that once taken down will drop a key that will allow you to open up this refrigerator to pick up the Abomination carcass. Once picked up, make sure that Old Tessie is back in Ashwood in the garage and go up to the buildable bench to go ahead and upgrade Old Tessie to put the carcass on the front. Now that the Old Tessie has the Abomination upgrade, we now need to drive Old Tessie out into the fog and look for these specific purple glowing rocks. There will be 3 around the map, and you'll want to use the R1 beam attack from the Old Tessie in order to destroy it, and if done successfully, you'll see there'll be a part called the Horde Husk Chunks. The spawn locations for those purple things in the fog can randomize every single game, but you should get that to drop from your very first encounter with one. On top of that, you want to make sure that upon round 8, you are in the Janus Towers Plaza spawn, where upon the round turning, an Uber Klaus is going to spawn out of this container. This will be quite a difficult fight, so by this point, make sure that you have at least a few perks, if not a Pack-a-Punch, under your belt to make taking out the Uber Klaus as easy and fast as possible. You want to be aiming for the shoulder pads of the Uber Klaus, and once the health is gone, it will then turn into an Uber Klaus core that once you've taken it out, will drop an item called the Stabilizer Chip. Now we have that part, we can activate Klaus. So what you want to do is take the left zip in Ashwood up towards Market Square, then follow the left side where you'll have this building you can open in Market Square called the Ashwood Sheriff's Office. Inside there will be a jail cell with Klaus inside, and you'll be able to install that chip. And now we need to wake up Klaus, and in order to do so, you're going to need to purchase 3 stun grenades from a workbench, which will cost you around 750 salvage. Once you've specifically picked up 3 stuns, make your way back to the jail cell, and you'll want to stand to the left of the jail cell like you see here, and then bounce the stun grenades off the wall in rapid succession. And if done successfully, you will see some sparkles above Klaus's head, and then you'll notice that his eyes will light up and he'll come alive. Whoever activated Klaus here will now be able to control him, and he'll be following you, and you'll be able to direct him using your tactical grenade button. You'll want to make your way over to the Cosmodrome and underneath the main floor down to this lower level called Support Systems. When Klaus is here, you want to use your tactical grenade button to direct him in front of this keypad here, and if done correctly, he will stamp the ground, and you'll now be able to interact with this machine where you'll have a scan progress where the player that activates this needs to stand in this red circle on the floor until the scan progress is complete. During this, you will have quite a few zombies spawning, so just make sure that you are prepared. If you're playing in co-op, have a friend cover you until it is done, but when it is complete, this container will now be available to pick up called the Ether Barrel. Whoever is carrying this cannot sprint and they cannot use jump pads. So in a solo game, make sure that you've driven Old Tessie to this location before doing that step, or in co-op, have a friend drive Old Tessie over here, as we'll need to take this ether barrel over to Ashwood and over to the power generators, which you did the spore infestation on originally. There will be a slot right in the middle of the spore infestation machine where if you interact, we'll place the ether barrel, and then you'll need to wait for the refined energy extraction to complete, which will take around about 10 to 15 seconds. Once complete, pick up the ether barrel, and we're now going to want to drive Old Tessie over to Blackwater Lake, where here we're going to repeat the exact same step at that power generator until the ether barrel is full. Once it has, you now want to make your way over to the farm, where we're going to repeat this for one more time. And you'll notice that when you're traveling the barrel in between areas, you will have a refined energy decay countdown where you have 1 minute 30 in order to get between all 3 generators. If you fail this at any point, then you're going to need to repeat the eye scanning step all over again to unlock the container, and then go through placing it in all of the 3 generators that you've seen me do in order again. Once it's been slotted in at farm and the refined energy extraction has completed, you'll now be able to pick it up, and you'll want to make your way down to the bottom floor of the barn. In the cellar, you want to interact with this box, and the ether barrel will be placed in, and there will now be 3 green circles that you'll be able to interact with each circle having 4 to 5 different symbols to choose. What you'll need to do now is go ahead and use the jump pad over to Janus Towers Plaza and look at the symbols that you see on the top of the buildings. There are going to be 3 symbols in total, going from right, middle, and left. And then from Janus Towers Plaza back to Van Dorn Farm, pay attention again to what the 3 symbols that you have are and write them down on a piece of paper. You'll then need to head down to that cube again in the cellar, and you want to match the circles to the 3 symbols that you saw on the roof buildings. Thankfully, the symbols don't repeat on either of these 3 circles, so you'll be guaranteed to be able to get this done fairly easily. And once you have what you believe to be the correct sequence of 3 symbols on the roof, go ahead and interact with the very front of the box. And if the code is correct, the eye will disappear, and in its place will be the Necro Fluid Gauntlet Wonder Weapon. Upon picking it up, you will be in a small little mini lockdown where the game is trying to teach you how to use the Wonder Weapon, and what you want to do is shoot it at all of the green orbs that you can see in front of you, as left and the right. Once you've shot all 6, the game will allow you to leave this area, as you'll now know how to use the Wonder Weapon properly. Now that we have the Wonder Weapon, we want to make our way over to Ashwood, and you'll need to have purchased the Wisp Tea perk, either from the Cosmodrome or from a Gobblegum where you've been given Wisp Tea. Within the tailor shop, there will be this mirror right here where you're going to need to shoot a zombie to activate your Wisp Tea. And if done correctly, the Wisp Tea mask will reveal an image on the mirror, and then if you shoot the Wonder Weapon at the mirror, it will drop an item called the Powder of the Forgotten. If you press back, you should be able to see under Serum that you'll have quite a few quest items at this point, and we almost have all of them. Another one of these items is a serum bottle, which can be found in the kitchen here in the cabin in this section right here, which if you pick up, you'll have picked up a jar of spores. You'll want to head over to Van Dorn Farm, and just outside the entrance, you'll find this animal here with a load of mushroom spores on it, and if you interact with it, we'll place down the jar of spores, and you'll need to go ahead and progress 2 full rounds from the moment you put this down for it to grow fully. But because it requires 2 rounds, you can actually go ahead and do some other Easter egg steps in the meantime. If you head over to the Cosmodrome and open this debris, it will reveal a room called Yuri's lab. If you go ahead and walk up to this chemistry table and interact with the powder that we just picked up, it will reveal a cipher on a chalkboard. Now at first this seems really daunting, but I have a very useful graphic to show you how to work this out, and all you need to do is look at the first letter of the 3 words that you have on your blackboard, and then you'll simply match it in the order of the items that you see in the image, interacting with them based on the order top to bottom of the first letter of each word. If the graphic has items that you don't have yet, then we need to progress a little bit further to get the last 2 items. The first is again progressing 2 full rounds at that mushroom in Van Dorn Farm, where eventually it will grow into an item you can pick up called the Widow's Lantern. You should now have 5 out of 6 Serum quest items, with the final one needing us to get to round 16 in order for a Zersa bear to spawn. In order to get this final item, you need to use the beam attack of Old Tessie to take down the Xursa bear. So it's worth damaging it a little bit with your normal weapons first, and then when it's low health, use the beam attack then to fully take it out, and it should drop a piece called the Mysterious Limb. Now that you have all items, make your way back to Yuri's lab, and using that cipher and this image that we showed earlier, activate your items in order from top to bottom. And if done correctly, you should get a prompt where you can add blood to the chemistry flask. Whoever adds the blood will have their HP reduced down to 75, and it will not regenerate at all during this step. So just be very, very careful. If you failed and got the incorrect sequence for your chemistry step, then you're going to need to progress to the next round in order to try again. This is a lockdown within the lab, which lasts for about a minute and a half, so be very, very careful. If you go down, you will fail it, and you'll have to retry it again by activating the beaker to add blood. And if completed successfully, there will be a purple gas that will cover your screen for a brief moment. In the 4 main POIs, there will now be wisps that will be orbiting around, which will be separate mini Easter egg quests that you can complete in any order that you choose. But before you can do that, you need to go and retrieve 3 different keys around the map. These keys can be found in 3 different sections of the fog, and there are multiple spawns. Let's first start off with how to find the Bruin key. This is in the fog between Ashwood and the Zaya Cosmodrome, and will be a small yellow glowing orb that you may or may not be able to see. One of the locations is going to be specifically here on this knocked down radio tower, where you want to shoot your Gauntlet Wonder weapon and then use the reload button to retrieve, and if it's there, it should drop on the ground. If not, we can move on to another location. Another location can be here right on the edge of this building, just as you exit the Cosmodrome into the crashed rocket area, and if you look really closely and shoot a couple of shots, it should drop for you there. And finally, if it's not in either of those 2 locations, if you make your way to the back left side of Ashwood going towards the crashed rocket, then you might be able to see it right on top of this cliff face to the left side. It's really high up and far away, but you should be able to notice it, and it will be right there. When you pick up the Bruin key, you will be forced to run with your melee out, and you won't be able to use any other weapons. And the aim is to run to this pyramid in the Rabbit Alley to break one of the chains off of the pyramid. Another key can be found in the fog between Ashwood and exit 115 in Order Graveyard. One of the locations can be found to the bottom right of this T-Rex skull, and you want to be shooting towards the bottom of its teeth. Be sure to shoot across the entirety of its mouth to make sure you've not missed it, but if it's not there, another location can be further back in Order Graveyard in the second T-Rex skull that's lying on the ground here. If you can't find it there, then the third and final location is just out from exit 115 at the very beginning of Order Graveyard, and it's going to be wedged to the right of these 2 Janus Towers vehicles. And this will pick up the Nightbird key, and the effects here is that you do not regenerate any health whilst you have this. You also cannot use any of the jump pads, so you need to make your way to Ashwood by Old Tessie in order to be super safe. Go ahead and place that on the pyramid as well to break the second set of chains. And the third and final key location can be found between Ashwood and Vandon Farm, and you're going to be looking in the grounded ship. There is going to be a location below the grounded ship, and it's in between these barrels right here, which if it is there, you'll be able to pick up the Terrapin key. If it's not there, then you want to make your way to the top of the grounded ship, and you're going to want to be looking through the window of this area right here, and it should be on the shelf to the left. And if it's not there, then it could also be on a container further left of that window where it should be partially open. This key stops you from sprinting, so I highly advise you use Old Tessie for this one so you make it back to Ashwood in one piece. But once you bring your third key back to the pyramid, you'll have the mid-game cinematic cutscene play. We can now move on to the 4 main Easter eggs tied to the 4 main POIs on the map. Immediately after the cutscene ends, you'll be able to pick up the DG2 turret part, which you'll be able to install onto Old Tessie in the garage. You are going to need it because as soon as you've installed the DG2 turret on the back of the Tessie vehicle, you want to drive it up slowly towards the entrance leading to the grounded ship, and then you want to shoot this clock tower that's floating above the Ashwood Bridge. Every single round you do this, you'll stop the time on the clock, and you'll be able to shoot each of the 4 sides of the clock with your wonder weapon, where if you shoot it and then press the reload/recall button, it will turn your gauntlet into a purple ethereal effect, giving it extra power to activate a specific Easter egg in one of 4 POIs. Now, you can do this in any order, but we'll first start by showing you how to complete the farm Easter egg step. With the DG2 turret shot at the clock tower, shoot one of the 4 sides with your wonder weapon and then make your way over to farm. You want to make your way over to the farmhouse and take note of the time that you see on the clock in the farmhouse. Whatever time you see, you want to look on the floorboards and stand on the Roman numerals that match that time. So for us, it was 3 o'clock. So I'm going to stand on the floorboard that has the numeral for 3 on it. And on the floor, specifically right here, you want to stand on the spot and look towards body sat at the head of the table. And if you stand still and watch, you will see that his head will slowly turn to face you and then shining red glowing eyes. If you use your wonder weapon to shoot it, it will activate the Easter egg step where you're going to be picking up 4 random items in any order. The first is a teddy bear that can be on this bunk bed right here. Face mask can be found on the 2nd floor of the barn right here. Chalice can be found in the cellar next to the bathtub right here. And the final part is Pa's pig sticker, which you can find by proning under this table here. There will now be 4 ritual circles on the ground in Van Darn Farm, and you want to place all of the ritual items down by interacting with them. And once they're all placed, you want to quickly run and interact with all of them very quickly in order to start a 1-minute defense step. Very simply, you just want to defend the ritual items health until the timer hits 0. If you're playing co-op, if one person assigns himself to one of the ritual items, then you should have no trouble whatsoever, and feel free to turn on the trap as well. And when that's complete, your screen will flash white, and that is the farm Easter egg step complete. Now, depending if you've skipped to the next round or not, you're going to need to go on the DG2 turret and shoot the clock tower again. If you haven't skipped around, then you should be able to shoot one of the other faces of the clock tower with your wonder weapon and then press the recall button for your wonder weapon to be glowing purple again. There's a chance you might need to flip to the next round in order to shoot the clock tower again with the DG2 turret of Old Tessie, which is fine. But in the meantime, we can also work on another POI, which is Exit 115, which works a little bit interestingly because this step can only be done on a even numbered round. You'll notice that in Exit 115 specifically, there will be lightning strikes. This is quite a complicated step, so we're going to set this one up by having Old Tessie parked right here in front of the diner for a step in a moment. There are 3 different objectives that you need to complete within a 60-second limit, but you can repeat this across multiple rounds, so don't feel rushed because it is very difficult to do all of them in one go. But the aim here is with the wonder weapon, you want to shoot this clock on the service station rooftop, and you'll have 60 seconds in order to complete certain objectives. One of them is within Old Tessie. You want to use the beam attack here on this red shipping container in order to wake up a trucker zombie. You also want to make your way into the diner and melee this cash register, as it's going to wake up a waitress zombie. And then finally, within the service station, you want to call in Klaus and activate him within the service station. With the waitress zombie, you want to lead the waitress zombie onto the rooftop of the diner roof towards this lightning, and if done correctly, she will disappear. Once time is unfrozen, you'll notice that depending on what you manage to do in your 60 seconds, by lasering this truck, the trucker zombie will now be active, following you around the map. Don't worry if you kill him, because he will respawn, as well as the zombie within the garage and the waitress zombie if you didn't manage to complete any of those within the 60 seconds. But you want to get onto the next even round number. Shoot your wonder weapon at the clock tower for it to be charged, and within the service station we are going to summon Klaus. Wait about 20 seconds or so and look at your mini-map to see when Klaus has spawned into the actual map itself, and once he has, shoot the clock to begin the 60-second freeze time step again. Command Klaus to go all the way over to the service station, where he's going to stamp on the ground and bring to life this zombie within the service station, which are going to lead up to the service station rooftop to this yellow lightning. Now, if you still have time left, go and wake up the trucker zombie and then bring it up to the Exit 115 rooftop here to the red lightning. If you've done it in time, you'll see those 2 zombies will be frozen in place by the lightning, and when the timer ends, you'll see that they will have become wisps and disappear, where the step will be complete. If you don't manage to complete that, then don't worry, just go on to the next even round and try again with any of the 3 zombies that you didn't complete. We can now move on to our second to last POI, which is going to be the Zaya Cosmodrome. With your purple glowing wonder weapon, make your way over to Zaya Cosmodrome and you'll notice there'll be 2 satellites that are going to be spinning, and what you want to do is shoot them with your wonder weapon in order to stop them in place. These are extremely easy to see and may require 2 rounds in order to activate both of them. Once they're both stopped, you want to head into the room behind the Wisp T, and in the control room, this computer is going to be flashing a series of symbols. This is the same pig cipher that we used to help with the chemistry step, and you're going to want to try and figure out the letters that it's showing, as it's going to be showing you a 6-letter word. Now, there is a Pigpen cipher decryption website linked in the description where you can click the symbols that you see on your TV and will help give you an idea of the word that you're trying to spell. Sometimes the word will be rocket, sometimes the word will be launch, and other times the word will be engine. And in order to input the actual word, there is going to be 6 computer screens that you'll want to enter left to right, match the letter to the number that it would appear in the alphabet. Although this counts A as 0, so you're going to want to subtract 1 from what the actual number to letter would be, and you want to shoot the red buttons once you see the correct number flash on screen. If the word is incorrect, you'll have to go to the next round to input your word again. But if done correctly, then the souls will go towards the rocket and the rocket will launch. Now that you've done 3 of the POIs, there is only 1 more to do, with the finale always being Blackwater Lake. Shoot the DG2 turret at the clock tower and then shoot your wonder weapon to charge it up. And if you've done all the other areas, you should find this wisp here on the docks, which if you interact with will disappear. And you'll now want to shoot your wonder weapon at the projector that is inside of the Blackwater Lake cabin. The moment you shoot it, the projector is going to display 4 different sections of the area for you that you need to memorize in an order, with one being the back of the cabin, the upstairs of the cabin, the boathouse, and then the shed. This order randomizes every single game, and once you've seen that order, you need to go ahead and shoot a film reel located in each of those areas that you want to shoot from first to last, as shown on the projector screen. Now, your order will be different to mine. So the location of the back of the cabin is going to be right here by this staircase, and if it's correct, it will turn purple when shot and disappear. If you shoot one in the wrong order, you'll get a jump scare. The second one can be found on the top of the cabin staircase right here. Boathouse film reel can be found on this little part of the ceiling here, and the last one can be found in the tool shed here on this shelf. If you've shot all 4 correctly in the right order, if you make your way upstairs in the speed cola room after you've called in Klaus, there will be a box that will open, and once Klaus is in, you want to direct Klaus to the box where he will pick up an item and then slowly make his way to the edge of the docks. At this point, you are boss fight ready. And it's at this point I'd highly recommend that you have the gobble gums that you want to have for the boss fight. Make sure that you have equipment like Casimir's, armor plates, and a fair amount of salvage, because you're going to be spending that quite a lot during this boss fight. When everyone is ready for the boss fight, drive old Tessie over to Blackwater Lake, and interacting with Klaus will begin a vote for the final encounter. Once everyone's voted, you want to make your way into Old Tessie and wait around 20 seconds or so before driving through into the Monolith Forest, where you will see wisps from the pyramid go towards the Monolith Forest, and you'll want to drive the Old Tessie vehicle through all of these wisps, where there will be 3 in total per area. If you follow the route exactly as we do here in this video, going through all 3 wisps in Monolith Forest, then through Janice Towers Plaza, and then up through the collapsed tower, where there's going to be 3 wisps to collect there on your way towards Van Dorn Farm, and then another 3 wisps to collect from Van Dorn Farm through the top of the grounded ship, where you'll go up this ramp, then take a right whilst being very slow, and then also driving through this one right at the end of the grounded ship. And then when you make your way into Ashwood, you're going to make a U-turn and then collect 3 more wisps in the lost cabins on your way back to the Blackwater Lake. This is a timed step, so if you don't go through all of the wisps in time, you will have to go to the next round in order to initiate the vote again with Klaus, but if done correctly, you will teleport into the boss fight. Now, this is far from your typical boss fight, because usually you'd be using weapons to take down a big boss, but in this boss fight, you're going to be using Old Tessie. If you're playing in co-op, then responsibilities will need to be divided, with someone driving the Old Tessie vehicle with another player using the DG2 turret. The aim with within the first phase of this boss fight is to drive around until you get your boost, and once you do, you want to use your boost, ramping up towards the middle of the arena, and in combination with your beam attack will be able to knock the boss physically back, doing an insane amount of damage. As you continue to repeat this by ramming into the boss, there will be weak points that will be revealed across the boss's mouths that you'll want to shoot with the DG2 turret if you're manning it, and if you're not, to shoot it with your weapon. Throughout this, the Tessie vehicle will take damage slightly from being rammed into the boss, and the boss will also emit a ton of different attacks like a missile attack, which you want to try and dodge at all costs. Be sure to be driving around the arena clockwise or anti-clockwise permanently, as well as making sure to drive over the green spores in order to heal the Tessie vehicle. Once you've done enough damage, the boss will now have a slight variation on its health bar where it will be immune. It will now be doing a constant spinning attack, which for this part I'm going to refer to as the Beyblade attack, and the person on the turret is going to need to shoot at the boss despite it being immune, and eventually the boss is going to shoot out a blue beam of light, which the Tessie vehicle driver needs to get to as quickly as possible because the boss is also going to be trying to get there as well. The idea is that if you make it and drive through that beam of light, it will give old Tessie extra power, which you'll then want to use to boost ramp again into the middle, which will knock the boss back, revealing a weak spot at the bottom of its mouth. After a short while, the boss will become immune again, and you'll want to drive towards the blue beam again to power up old Tessie, which you then ram again into the boss, whilst also using the beam attack in conjunction to weaken it and to reveal that weak spot. You'll want to continue rinse and repeating this until the immune phase is completed, and you'll know that you've successfully done it because there will be a max ammo that will have spawned in one of the 4 corners of the arena. Now, there are a lot of moments here, even in these first phases, where the Tessie vehicle will take a lot of damage and you will have to at times repair it. This is always a very risky moment, which is why I recommend the Casimir grenades or the Ether Shroud field upgrade, so that you're shrouded from zombies and the boss so that you can repair it without taking any damage. Going into phase 2, you'll repeat exactly what you did in phase 1 by boosting into the boss, as well as using the beam attack, while someone in the turret is constantly shooting its faces, which the more you ram into him, the more his weak spot faces will be revealed. Unfortunate thing with this boss, at least in 4-player, is that 2 of the players in the game aren't really going to be doing much, as a huge amount of damage you emit to the boss is solely through the old Tessie vehicle. If you aren't manning the vehicle, however, this is where the Nikita shotgun comes in very handy for shooting those red critical mouths that will appear. There's no two ways about it. This is quite a brutal boss fight, so you're definitely going to want to make sure you have a ton of coordination with your other teammates if you're playing in co-op, to make sure that someone is driving to the best of their ability while someone is also manning the turret to be able to do that damage. If at any point Tessie gets destroyed, you'll have to repair it using salvage, which will take a small amount of time, like as if you're crafting something at the crafting table, leaving you vulnerable to the attacks. So be sure to use your field upgrades and your tacticals and lethals. Going into the second Beyblade phase, nothing is that different apart from the missiles that he's launching being a lot more often and being able to target you a lot easier. When you have his health down to the final quarter, this is where things get really tricky. Still want to be damaging him in the same way with the DG2 turret and driving and ramming into him, but he's going to have a new attack, which is a purple laser. This is absolutely lethal because it targets you for a very long time and can completely destroy the Tessie vehicle. So the way to counter this third and final attack is that you need to be ramming him and timing it to when he's charging up this purple beam attack by seeing the glowing on his mouth. That is the only way to be able to avoid this attack without taking a ton of lethal damage. And if you get too close to him, he can actually swallow the Tessie vehicle completely and put it somewhere else in the arena for you to find. Some helpful tips is that there is a teleport to vehicle button in one of the side huts in the arena, so you can immediately be taken back into Old Tessie. And there is a max armor and a max ammo power up that you'll be able to retrieve using the wonder weapon by shooting at it and then pressing the retrieve button. And once you get his health down all the way to 0, then you, my friend, have just completed the Ashes of the Damned Easter egg. Feel free to leave comments below if there's anything that you think I missed in this guide that would be useful tips and tricks for the community. If you found this useful, a like would be super appreciated. And if you want to see the Easter egg ending cutscene, then why not click this video on your screen right now and subscribe for more Black Ops 7 Zombies Easter egg tutorials.